The transport ship touched down on Kepler 442b with a soft thud that shook Dr. Hana Kim from her sleep. She pressed her face against the small window and saw endless green jungle stretching to the horizon. Purple mountains rose in the distance. Under an orange sky, this would be her home for the next 2 years. Welcome to paradise, said the pilot with a tired smile. Research Station Echo is about 5 miles north. The locals call this place the Green Hell. Hannah gathered her equipment. Bags and stepped onto the landing platform. The air was thick and warm, filled with strange sounds from the jungle. Insects buzzed overhead while something large crashed through the trees far away. She could smell flowers and rotting leaves mixed together. A tall man in a dirty lab coat walked toward her. Dr. Kim, I presume. I'm Dr. June Park, team leader. Here at Eco Station, he shook her hand firmly. I hope you are ready for real work. This is not like your comfortable labs on Earth. I came here to study alien life forms, Hannah said. I am ready for anything, Dr. Park laughed. We shall see. About that, come, let me show you to the station. They rode in a small hover vehicle through a cleared path in the jungle. Research Station Echo was a collection of white dome buildings connected by covered walkways. Solar panels covered every roof while communication dishes pointed toward the sky. 12 researchers live here, Dr. Park explained as they walked. Through the main building, we study the plants, animals, geology, and weather of this world. Our job is to decide if humans can safely colonize this planet. He introduced her to the team in the common room. Min-ho Lee was the security officer, a young man with nervous eyes. Yuna Choi studied the local plants and always seemed to be covered. In dirt, Commander Daewon ran the station with military precision. Su Jin worked on biochemistry while Taeho studied rocks and minerals. Nari Song handled all communications with Earth. Dr. Kim will join our animal research team, Dr. Park announced. She specializes in animal behavior and communication. Good. Luck with that, Min-ho said. The animals here are nothing like Earth creatures. Most of them want to eat you. Some are beautiful, though, Yuna added. Just be careful, even the pretty ones can be dangerous. That evening, Hana studied the research files in her small room. The jungle was full of life forms unlike anything. On Earth, there were flying creatures with crystal wings, tree-climbing predators with too many legs, and massive herbivores that moved in herds. Most interesting were the reports of large predators that seemed to avoid human contact. Apex predator species unknown, she read from one file. Estimated height 12 feet. 6 limbs, crystalline scales, extreme intelligence suspected. All. Encounters brief. Subject retreats when observed. Recommend caution. The next morning, Dr. Park led Hana and 2 other researchers on her first survey mission. They took the hover vehicle deep into the jungle where the trees grew so thick that little sunlight reached the ground. Stay close, Dr. Park warned. We have motion sensors and emergency beacons, but the jungle can be confusing. People have gotten lost here. They stopped at a clearing where a stream flowed between moss-covered rocks. The water was crystal clear and moved slowly toward the distant river. Strange flowers grew along the banks in colors that had no names. Take samples of everything, Dr. Park ordered. Plants, water, soil, insects. We need to understand this ecosystem. Hannah worked carefully, collecting specimens and taking notes. The jungle was alive with sounds she had never heard before. Birds called from the treetops while small animals rustled through the undergrowth. Everything seemed peaceful, then the jungle went silent. Min-ho looked up from his soil samples. That is not good. When everything goes quiet, it means something big is coming. They heard heavy footsteps approaching through the trees. The ground vibrated slightly with each step. Dr. Park reached for his radio while Yuna moved closer to the hover vehicle. Maybe we should leave, Yuna whispered. The footsteps stopped just beyond the tree line. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the creature stepped into the clearing. Hannah had never seen anything so magnificent and terrifying. At the same time, the beast stood 12 feet tall on 4 powerful legs, while 2 smaller arms ended in clawed hands. Its body was covered in scales that looked like living crystal, shifting from deep blue to silver as it moved. The head was large and intelligent, with amber eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. Minho and Yuna backed toward the vehicle. Ready to run, Dr. Park slowly reached for his emergency beacon. But Hannah stood perfectly still, staring at the creature with wonder instead of fear. The beast looked directly at her with those incredible amber eyes. It tilted its massive head to one side as if asking a question. Then it took a careful step. "Forward. Do not move," Dr. Park whispered. "Any sudden motion might trigger an attack." But Hannah was not thinking about attacks. She was thinking about the intelligence she saw in those eyes. This was not just a predator looking for food. This creature was studying her just as carefully as she was studying it. The beast took another step closer. Hannah could see the fine details of its crystalline scales and the careful way it placed each foot. It moved with grace despite its enormous size. When it was only 10 feet away, it stopped and sat back on its haunches like a giant cat. "Incredible," Hannah breathed. The creature seemed to hear her voice. Its ears, which looked like crystal formations, moved slightly toward her. It made a low sound, almost like a purr, but deeper and more complex. "We need to go." "Now," Minho said, his voice tight with fear. "Wait," Hannah said softly. "It is not showing any aggressive behavior. Look at its posture. It is curious, not hunting." "That thing could kill us all in seconds," Dr. Park hissed. "We are leaving." The beast seemed to understand the tension in their voices. It stood up slowly and took a step backward. Then it did something that shocked them all. It lowered its great head slightly, almost like a bow, before turning and walking. Back into the jungle, they listened to its footsteps fade into the distance before anyone moved. "What just happened?" Yuna asked. Hannah was still staring at the spot where the creature had stood. "I think it was saying hello." Back at the station, Dr. Park filed his report while the others described their encounter to the rest of the team. But Hannah said little. She was thinking about those amber eyes and the intelligence she had seen there. That night, she made her own notes in her personal journal. First contact with apex predator. Behavior suggests high intelligence and possible curiosity about humans. No aggressive displays observed. Recommend further study. She decided to call the creature Titan, and she knew she had to see it again. 3 days passed before Hannah could return to the clearing. Dr. Park had forbidden solo missions after their encounter with Titan, but research work still needed to be done. She volunteered for every survey team and hoped they would visit the same area again. Her chance came when Sujin needed water samples from the stream. "I will go with you," Hannah offered quickly. "I know exactly where to find the clearest water." They took the hover vehicle early in the morning while mist still hung between the trees. Sujin was a quiet woman who focused on her work and asked few questions. This made her the perfect companion for what Hannah had in mind. "Take samples from different points along the stream," Hannah suggested. "I will check the area for any signs of contamination." While Sujin worked with her collection tubes, Hannah walked slowly around the clearing. She looked for any trace that Titan had returned. Near a large rock, she found deep footprints in the soft earth. The prints were fresh, probably made the night before. Hannah knelt down and examined the tracks carefully. Each footprint was perfectly formed, showing the detail of Titan's clawed feet. But what interested her most was the pattern. The creature had not just walked through the area. It had stopped, turned, and seemed to explore the same spots where the humans had been working. "Find something interesting?" Sujin called from the stream. "Just some animal tracks," Hannah replied. "Nothing dangerous." But her heart was beating faster. Titan had come back to look for them. Or maybe just for her. That evening, Hannah studied everything she could find about animal intelligence and communication. The station's database had files on Earth animals that showed complex behavior. Dolphins, elephants, and great apes could all learn simple communication systems. Some could even use tools to solve problems. If Earth animals could do these things, why not an alien creature that had evolved on a different world? Titan's eyes had shown clear intelligence. Its behavior had been curious, not aggressive. Maybe It was trying to understand humans just as much as they were trying to understand it. The next morning, Hannah made a decision that would change everything. She woke up before dawn and quietly gathered some supplies. A small recording device, a notebook, some dried fruit from the station kitchen, and a shiny metal tool that might catch the creature's attention. She left a note saying she was checking the atmospheric readings near the clearing. The jungle was different in the early morning. Mist moved between the trees like ghosts while strange bird calls echoed from the canopy above. Hannah felt nervous but also excited. She was breaking rules, but science had always required people who were willing to take risks. She reached the clearing just as the first sunlight filtered through the leaves. The stream gurgled softly while insects buzzed among the flowers. Everything seemed peaceful and normal. Hannah found a comfortable spot near the water and sat down to wait. She placed the shiny tool beside her and opened her notebook. If Titan did not come, she would at least get some legitimate research done. An hour passed, then another. Hannah was starting to think she had made a mistake when she heard the familiar heavy footsteps approaching through the trees. Titan stepped into the clearing and stopped immediately when it saw her. The great beast tilted its head and made that deep purring sound she remembered from their first meeting. Its amber eyes locked onto hers with unmistakable recognition. "Hello, Titan," Hannah said softly. "I was hoping you would come back." The creature took a careful step forward, then stopped. It seemed to be studying her posture and voice, trying to determine if she was safe to approach. Hannah slowly reached for the metal tool beside her. Titan's eyes followed the movement closely. She held up the tool so the sunlight reflected off its surface, creating bright patterns on the ground. Titan made an interested sound and moved closer. When it was about 15 feet away, it sat down just as it had before. The creature was clearly intelligent enough to maintain a safe distance while satisfying its curiosity. Hannah set the tool on the ground and pushed it gently toward Titan. The creature watched the tool roll across the grass, then looked back at her with what seemed like surprise. After a moment, Titan stood up and walked carefully to the tool. It examined the object closely, turning its great head from side to side. Then it picked up the tool with one clawed hand and held it up to catch the light. "You understand that it makes pretty reflections," Hannah said, amazed. Titan looked at her, then at the tool, then back at her again. Slowly, it moved the tool so that reflected light danced across Hannah's notebook. "Incredible," she whispered. "You are trying to communicate." For the next hour, they played a simple game. Hannah would point to objects in the clearing and Titan would look at them. When she picked up a flower, Titan found a similar flower and brought it closer. When she drew shapes in the dirt with a stick, Titan watched intently and sometimes drew its own marks with a claw. The creature was not just intelligent. It was actively trying to learn her behavior patterns and respond appropriately. When Hannah finally stood to leave, Titan made a sound that seemed almost sad. The creature followed her to the edge of the clearing but did not go further. As she walked back toward the station, Hannah could feel those amber eyes watching her until she disappeared into the trees. At the station, Sujin was waiting for her. "Where have you been?" "Dr. Park is looking for atmospheric readings that do not exist. I was doing research," Hannah said carefully. "Important research that could change how we understand this planet." Sujin studied her face. "What kind of research?" Hannah made a quick decision. "Can I trust you with something that might sound impossible?" "Try me. I think I've found a way to communicate with the apex predator. The creature is intelligent, maybe more intelligent than we thought possible." Sujin was quiet for a long moment. "Show me your notes." That evening, the two women sat in Hannah's room reviewing everything she had observed. Sujin asked good questions and seemed genuinely interested in the scientific possibilities. "This could be the most important discovery in human history," Sujin said finally. "First contact with an intelligent alien species." "But Dr. Park will never believe it," Hannah replied. "He thinks I am just seeing things that are not there." "Then we need more evidence, better documentation." Repeated observations. "You will help me?" Sujin smiled. "How could I miss being part of something this important?" "The next morning, Hannah." Return to the clearing with better equipment and a witness. This time, Titan was waiting for her when she arrived. For 2 weeks, Hana and Sujin visited the clearing together. Each time, Titan was there waiting for them. The creature had learned to recognize their voices and would make welcoming sounds when they arrived. It brought them gifts, strange crystals, unusual flowers, and interesting rocks that Sujin found valuable for her research. "Look at this," Sujin said, examining a purple crystal that Titan had placed near their usual sitting spot. "I have never seen this mineral formation before. Where did it find this?" Hana watched Titan arrange several crystals in a careful pattern on the ground. "I think it is trying to show us something important. Maybe these crystals have special meaning." The creature had also learned to respond to simple gestures. When Hana pointed to the sky, Titan would look up. When she drew circles in the dirt, Titan would draw similar shapes. Most amazing of all, it had started making different sounds for different objects. A low hum for water, a clicking noise for rocks, and a melodic trill for flowers. "This is definitely language," Hana wrote in her notes. "Titan is using consistent sounds to represent specific things. This proves intelligence at a level we never expected." But their secret could not last forever. Dr. Park had noticed that Hana and Sujin were spending more time together and returning from surveys with unusual specimens. He started asking questions about where they found certain minerals and why. Their research reports were so detailed. "You two are discovering things that the rest of us missed," he said during a team meeting. "How do you explain this sudden improvement in results?" "We are just being more careful in our observations," Hana replied. "And we work well together," Sujin added. "Two people can cover more ground than one." Dr. Park looked suspicious but said nothing more. However, he started checking the security cameras that monitored the area around the station. The cameras had been installed to watch for dangerous animals, but they also recorded human activity. 3 days later, Dr. Park called an emergency meeting in the main conference room. "I want everyone to see something interesting," he announced. Connecting his tablet to the large display screen, the video showed Hana and Sujin walking toward the jungle with their equipment. But more importantly, it showed them returning with what looked like gifts from some unknown source. "Where did you get those crystals?" Dr. Park asked. "And those rare plant samples?" "I checked our geological surveys. Those minerals do not exist in the areas you claim to visit." Hana felt her heart sink. There was no good lie that would explain their discoveries. "We found a new location," she said weakly. "Show me on the map." Hana pointed to an area near the clearing, hoping Dr. Park would not demand to visit the exact spot. "Very well. Tomorrow we will all go to this magical place where rare minerals just lie on the ground waiting to be collected." That night, Hana and Sujin met privately in the lab. "We have to tell them the truth," Sujin said. "The evidence is too strong to ignore. Titan is intelligent and trying to communicate with us." "They will never believe it," Hana replied. "Dr. Park thinks I am just a dreamer who sees things that are not there." Then we show them video proof. We document everything. The next morning, the entire research team traveled to the clearing. Dr. Park brought extra cameras and recording equipment. Determined to solve the mystery of Hana's unusual discoveries, they set up their instruments and waited. For an hour, nothing happened. Dr. Park was starting to look annoyed when they heard the familiar heavy footsteps approaching through the trees. Titan stepped into the clearing and stopped immediately. The creature saw all the humans and equipment, and its body language changed. Instead of the relaxed curiosity it showed when only Hana and Sujin were present, Titan became tense and alert. "There is your apex predator," Dr. Park said, reaching for his emergency beacon. "Now I understand how you found those specimens. This creature has been following you and dropping things." "No," Hana said urgently. "Watch its behavior. It is trying to communicate." Titan looked directly at Hana and made the same welcoming sound it had used for weeks. Then it carefully placed a small crystal on the ground and pushed it toward her with one clawed hand. "Incredible," breathed Nari-song. "It recognizes her," but Minho Lee laughed nervously. It probably just wants food. Animals on Earth do the same thing. This is not an Earth animal, Hannah said. Watch what happens next. She drew a circle in the dirt with a stick. Titan immediately drew a similar circle with its claw. When she pointed to the sky, Titan looked up. When she made the clicking sound she had learned meant rocks, Titan picked up a small stone. Basic conditioning, Dr. Park said dismissively. You have been training it like a pet. This is not communication. This is just animal behavior. Look at its eyes, Sujin urged. There is intelligence there. I see a dangerous predator. Has learned to associate humans with easy food, Dr. Park replied coldly. This stops now. Yuna Choi had been recording everything with her camera. But look how carefully it moves. It is being gentle on purpose. Because it does not want to scare away its food source, Taeho said. Dr. Kim has been feeding this creature, and now it follows her around like a trained animal. The mockery began that evening back at the station. During dinner, Minho started calling Titan Hannah's pet monster. Yuna made jokes about the xenobiologist who thought she could talk to animals. Even Commander Dae-won expressed concern about Hannah's mental state. Perhaps the isolation is affecting your judgment, he suggested. Living on an alien world can cause people to see patterns that do not exist. I am not imagining this, Hannah insisted. Titan is intelligent. It understands symbols and can learn new behaviors. So can my dog, Taeho laughed. That does not make it an alien genius. Dr. Park stood up and addressed the room formally. Dr. Kim, your behavior with this creature violates our safety protocols. You have endangered yourself and your colleagues by encouraging contact with a dangerous predator. It has never shown any aggressive behavior, Hannah protested. But predators are unpredictable. What happens when it gets hungry and you have no food to offer? What happens when it decides you are the food? The room fell silent. Even Sujin looked uncertain. I am implementing new rules, Dr. Park continued. No one leaves the station alone. All survey missions require at least 3 team members. And Dr. Kim, you are forbidden from any further contact with this creature. You are making a mistake, Hannah said quietly. You are letting fear blind you to the greatest discovery in human history. I am keeping this team alive, Dr. Park replied. That is my job. That night, Hannah sat alone in her room, reviewing her notes and video recordings. Outside her window, she could hear strange sounds from the jungle. She wondered if Titan was out there, waiting for her to return to their clearing. For the first time since arriving on Kepler 442b, she felt truly alone. 2 weeks passed under the new restrictions. Hannah felt like a prisoner in her own research station. Every survey mission required 3 people, and Dr. Park made sure she was never paired with Sujin. Instead, she found herself working with Minho Lee and Taeho, who spent most of their time making jokes about her pet monster. I wonder what your creature friend is doing without you, Minho said during their 3rd day of soil sampling. Maybe it found a new human to follow around. Or maybe it got hungry and ate something else, Taeho added with a laugh. Hannah tried to ignore them, but she was worried. She had not seen Titan in 14 days. Was the creature waiting for her at the clearing? Did it understand why she had stopped coming? The thought of Titan sitting alone, watching for her return, made her feel sick. On the 15th morning, everything changed. Nari Song burst into the common room during breakfast, her face pale with shock. Long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures, she announced. Something big is coming toward our system. Commander Dae-won stood up immediately. How big? 12 ships, maybe more. They are unlike anything in our databases. The energy readings are off the charts. Dr. Park looked confused. Commercial vessels? Military ships from Earth? No, sir, Nari replied. These are not human designs. The hull configurations are completely alien. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. In over 50 years of space exploration, humans had found life on many worlds, but had never encountered another spacefaring species. If these were truly alien ships, it would change everything, Commander Day 1 took charge. How long until they reach us? At their current speed, about 18 hours? Send an emergency message to Colonial Command, full priority. We need instructions and possibly rescue ships. While Nari worked frantically at her communications console, the rest of the team gathered around the main display screen. The alien ships appeared as bright dots against the darkness of space, growing larger with each sensor update. Look at those designs, Yuna whispered. They look almost biological. Like they were grown instead of built. She was right. The ships had curved surfaces and organic shapes that reminded Hana of deep-sea creatures. But what worried her most were the weapon systems. Even from this distance, the sensors could detect massive energy cannons and some kind of beam technology. Are they trying to communicate with us? Dr. Park asked. No responses to any of our signals, Nari reported. They are not even acknowledging our presence. That afternoon, the automated defense satellites around Kepler 442b went dark one by one. The alien ships destroyed them with precise energy blasts that left no debris behind. It was clear that these visitors were not interested in peaceful contact. While the team prepared emergency evacuation procedures, Hana noticed something strange happening in the jungle. The normal sounds of animals and insects had stopped completely. Even the birds that usually filled the air with their calls had gone silent. Something is wrong outside, she told Sujin. The whole ecosystem has gone quiet. Maybe the animals can sense the ships in orbit, Sujin suggested. Some Earth animals can detect earthquakes and storms before humans notice anything, but Hana suspected it was more than that. She had spent enough time in the jungle to know its rhythms. This silence felt different. It felt like the entire planet was holding its breath. That evening, against all regulations, Hana snuck out of the station. She had to know if Titan was still at the clearing. More importantly, she wanted to see if the creature was acting strangely too. The jungle was eerily quiet as she made her way through the familiar paths. No insects buzzed around her head. No small animals rustled through the undergrowth. Even her footsteps seemed too loud in the unnatural silence. She reached the clearing just as the first alien ship became visible in the orange sky above. It looked like a dark shadow against the stars, blocking out the light with its massive bulk. Titan was there, waiting for her as always. But the creature's behavior was completely different from anything she had seen before. Instead of the calm, curious posture she knew so well, Titan was agitated and restless. It paced back and forth, making low, growling sounds that she had never heard before. When Titan saw her, it rushed forward and made urgent noises. The creature kept looking up at the sky, then back at her, then at the ground. It was clearly trying to communicate something important. "What is it, Titan?" Hana asked. "What are you trying to tell me?" The creature began drawing in the dirt with its claws. But these were not the simple circles and lines they had practiced before. These were complex symbols and patterns that seemed to tell a story. Hana watched in amazement as Titan drew what looked like ships in the sky. Then it drew creatures that looked like itself, but smaller and hiding underground. Finally, it drew humans and pointed urgently at Hana. "You know about the ships," she breathed. "You know what they are?" Titan made a sound that was almost like a scream. It grabbed Hana gently with one massive hand and tried to pull her toward the jungle. "You want me to hide?" she realized. "You are trying to warn me." The creature nodded its great head, a gesture it had learned from watching her. Then it drew more symbols in the dirt. These showed the alien ships attacking and destroying everything on the surface. Hana felt cold fear wash over her. "They are going to attack the station." She started to run back toward the research base, but Titan blocked her path. The creature made pleading sounds and drew more symbols. These showed underground caves and safety. "I have to warn the others," Hana said desperately. "My friends are in danger." Titan seemed to understand. It looked up at the alien ship in the sky, then made a decision. The creature began running toward the station, and Hana realized it was coming with her. They reached Research Station Echo just as the first energy blasts lit up the night sky. The alien ships had begun their attack. and the station's shields flickered and sparked under the assault. Hana ran through the main entrance to find chaos. Alarms were screaming while emergency lights flashed red. The team was running around, trying to save their research data and prepare for evacuation. "The rescue ship is still 2 days away," Commander Day-1 shouted over the noise. "We need to find somewhere to hide until help arrives." "I know where we can go," Hana called out. "But you have to trust me." Dr. Park looked at her with desperate eyes. "Where?" Before she could answer, a massive shadow fell across the station. One of the alien ships had descended through the atmosphere and was hovering directly above them. Its weapon systems were charging for what would certainly be a killing blow. That was when Titan appeared at the station entrance, its crystalline scales reflecting the emergency lights like a living beacon of hope. The sight of Titan at the station entrance caused immediate panic. Minho Lee grabbed for his emergency weapon while Unitroy screamed and backed against the wall. Even Commander Day-1 reached for his sidearm before realizing that small weapons would be useless against such a massive creature. "Stay calm," Hana shouted over the chaos. "Titan is here to help us." "That thing is going to kill us all," Dr. Park yelled back. "First the alien ships, now this monster." Above them, the alien vessel's weapons continued charging. The air itself seemed to vibrate with deadly energy. They had perhaps 30 seconds before the station would be destroyed. Titan ignored the frightened humans and focused on Hana. The creature made urgent gestures toward the jungle while drawing quick symbols in the dirt with its claws. The message was clear: "Follow me to safety." "It wants us to come with it," Hana said desperately. "There are caves in the jungle. We can hide there." "I am not following that creature anywhere," Taeho declared. "We should stay here and fight." "Fight with what?" Sujin demanded. "Our research equipment against alien warships?" The station's main power grid failed with a shower of sparks. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows as the alien ship moved closer. They could all feel the heat from its weapon systems warming the air above the station. Commander Day-1 made the decision that saved their lives. "We follow the creature. Move now." "Sir, you cannot be serious," Minho protested. "Look outside," the commander snapped. "Our shields are failing and we have no weapons that can hurt those ships. If this creature knows a safe place, we take that chance." Dr. Park looked ready to argue, but another energy blast struck the station's outer buildings. The force of the explosion knocked everyone to the ground and shattered windows throughout the complex. "Fine," he gasped, struggling to his feet. "But if that thing turns on us, I hold you responsible." They grabbed emergency supplies and followed Titan into the jungle. The creature moved carefully, making sure the humans could keep up while staying alert for danger from above. Every few minutes it would stop and listen, then gesture for them to move faster. The alien ships had spread out across the sky, their searchlights cutting through the darkness like deadly fingers. Wherever the lights touched, the jungle burst into flames. The invaders were systematically burning everything on the surface. "They are destroying the entire ecosystem," Yuna said in horror. "Why would they do that?" "Maybe they want to clear the land for themselves," Nari suggested, but Hana noticed something else. The alien ships were not just burning randomly. They seemed to be following a pattern, as if they were searching for something specific. After an hour of difficult travel through dense undergrowth, Titan led them to what looked like a solid cliff face covered in thick vines. The creature began pulling the vines aside, revealing a hidden cave entrance large enough for humans to walk through. "How did it know about this place?" Taeho whispered. "Because it has been here before," Hana realized. "Many times." Inside the cave, their flashlights revealed smooth walls covered with the same crystalline formations they had seen on Titan's scales. The crystals gave off a faint glow that provided enough light to see by. More importantly, the cave was much larger than it appeared from outside. "This goes down quite far," Commander Day-1 observed, shining his light into the depths. "It could be a whole cave system." Titan made encouraging sounds and gestured for them to follow deeper into the cave. As they walked, Hana noticed that a creature seemed completely at home in this environment. It knew exactly where to step and which passages to take. It has been here many times before, she said to Sujin. This is not just a hiding place. This is important to Titan somehow. They walked for another 30 minutes before reaching a vast underground chamber. Their lights revealed a space so large that the far walls disappeared into darkness. But what took their breath away were the crystalline formations that covered every surface. The crystals were identical to the ones Titan had been giving them as gifts. They formed complex patterns on the walls and ceiling, creating a natural artwork of incredible beauty. More importantly, the crystals seemed to be interfering with electronic signals. My radio is not working, Nari reported. Complete communications blackout. The aliens will not be able to track us here, Commander Day-One said with relief. These crystals are jamming their sensors. But Dr. Park was staring at something else. In the center of the chamber, carefully arranged in precise patterns, were hundreds of human artifacts. Tools, equipment pieces, and personal items that had gone missing from the station over the past months. It has been collecting our things, he said slowly. Studying them, Hannah walked closer to examine the collection. Everything was perfectly preserved and organized by type. Metal tools in one group, electronic devices in another, clothing and personal items in a third section. It was trying to understand us, she breathed. All this time, Titan was learning about human technology and culture. Sujin found something even more amazing. Carved into the crystal walls were symbols and drawings that told a story. Stick figures that looked like humans worked alongside larger figures that resembled Titan. The carvings showed cooperation, friendship, and joint activities. Look at this, she called the others over. These drawings are old, very old. But they show humans and creatures like Titan working together. That is impossible, Dr. Park protested. Humans have never been to this planet before. But as they studied the carvings more closely, they realized the truth was far more complex. The drawings did not show modern humans with their technology and equipment. They showed primitive humans or beings that looked very much like early humans living and working alongside Titan species. Could there have been human contact with this world before? Yuna asked. Some kind of ancient visit that was forgotten? Titan seemed to understand their confusion. The creature began drawing new symbols in the soft earth of the cave floor. These showed stars and planets, spaceships traveling between worlds, and different species meeting and helping each other. You are trying to tell us about other worlds, Hana said with growing excitement. Your people have met humans before, somewhere else. The creature nodded eagerly and drew more symbols. These showed the same alien ships that were now attacking the planet. The drawings made it clear that these invaders had destroyed other worlds, other civilizations. They are planet killers, Commander Day-One said grimly. They destroy everything and move on to the next world. Titan drew one final set of symbols. These showed creatures like itself hiding underground while the invaders burned the surface. But the drawings also showed hope, the alien ships eventually leaving and life returning to the devastated worlds. You have survived attacks like this before, Hannah realized. Your people know how to wait them out. Above them, muffled explosions continued as the alien ships destroyed everything on the surface. Research Station Echo was certainly gone by now, along with all their equipment and research data, but they were alive, and they had learned something incredible. Titan was not just an intelligent creature. It was a representative of an ancient species that had been fighting these invaders for possibly thousands of years. We need to understand more, Dr. Park said, his voice showing new respect for both Titan and Hannah. If these creatures have been fighting this enemy before, they might know how to defeat them. For the first time since the attack began, Hannah felt hope. She looked at Titan with new understanding. The creature had not just saved their lives. It had welcomed them into an ancient alliance that might be humanity's best chance for survival among the stars. They spent 3 days in the crystal caves while the alien ships continued their attack on the surface. During that time, Titan revealed more of its true nature through patient communication with Hannah, using the symbol system they had developed. Along with new drawings on the cave walls, the creature told an incredible story. Titan was not just an individual animal. It was an ambassador, a representative of an entire underground civilization that had survived on Kepler 442b for thousands of years. The crystal caves were not natural formations but carefully constructed cities where Titan's people lived and worked. "There are more of them down here," Hannah explained to the amazed research team. "Titan has been taking me to meet the leaders of its people." Deeper in the cave system, they encountered other members of Titan's species. These creatures were smaller than Titan but showed the same intelligence and curiosity about humans. They had been watching the research station for months, learning about human behavior and technology. They knew we were coming before we arrived, Sujin realized. Our radio transmissions, our landing ships, everything was monitored and studied. The cave dwellers had developed remarkable technology based on crystal formations that could store and manipulate energy. Their cities were powered by natural geological forces and hidden from surface detection. Most importantly, they had weapons that could disrupt the alien invaders' ships. Why did they not use these weapons sooner? Dr. Park asked through Hannah's translation. Titan's response was complex but clear. The cave dwellers had learned that direct confrontation with the invaders usually resulted in the complete destruction of a planet. The alien ships would call for reinforcements and turn entire worlds into lifeless rocks. Survival meant staying hidden and waiting for the attackers to leave, but something was different this time. The presence of humans had changed the situation. "They want to form an alliance," Hannah announced after a long conversation with Titan and 3 other cave dwellers who seemed to be leaders. "They believe humans and their people together might be strong enough to actually defeat the invaders instead of just hiding from them." Commander Day 1 was skeptical. "What do we bring to this alliance? Our technology is obviously inferior to both the invaders and these cave dwellers." The answer surprised everyone. According to Titan, humans possess something that both the invaders and the cave dwellers lacked: the ability to adapt quickly and think in new ways. The cave dwellers were ancient and wise, but they thought in patterns developed over thousands of years. The invaders were powerful but followed rigid attack strategies that never changed. Humans were unpredictable. They improvised. They took risks that more logical species would never consider. "They want us to help them plan a counterattack," Hannah said. "Something the invaders will never expect." Working together over the next 2 days, humans and cave dwellers developed a strategy that combined the best of both species. The cave dwellers would use their crystal technology to disrupt the alien ship's power systems. At the same time, the humans would coordinate a tactical strike using salvaged equipment from the destroyed research station. The plan was risky and required perfect timing, but it was also completely unlike anything the invaders had faced in their thousands of years of conquest. On the morning of the 6th day, they put their plan into action. Titan led Hannah and Commander Day 1 to observation points where they could coordinate the attack using hand signals. Other cave dwellers took positions throughout the underground city, ready to activate their crystal weapons at the right moment. Above ground, the alien ships had finished burning the jungle and were preparing to leave. Their sensors showed no signs of intelligent life, and they believed the planet was ready for the next phase of invasion. They were wrong. The first part of the attack came from below. Crystal formations throughout the planet suddenly activated, sending powerful energy waves upward. The alien ships found their power systems failing as strange interference disrupted their technology. While the invaders struggled to understand what was happening, the second phase began. Human improvisation and cave dweller technology combined in ways that neither species could have achieved alone. Sujin had figured out how to modify the aliens' own weapons, using crystal formations to redirect their energy blasts back at their ships. Teho and Yuna worked together to create decoy signals that confused the invaders' targeting systems. Even Dr. Park contributed by analyzing the aliens' communication patterns and finding ways to jam their coordination. The battle lasted only 4 hours, but when it was over, half the alien fleet was destroyed, and the rest were fleeing toward deep space. We actually won, Nari said in amazement as they watched the last alien ship disappear among the stars, but the victory was bigger than just one battle. In the weeks that followed, as rescue ships arrived from Earth and the research station was rebuilt, it became clear that something unprecedented had happened on Kepler 442b. For the first time in human history, two intelligent species had formed a true partnership. The cave dwellers shared their crystal technology while humans provided new ideas for using it. Together they developed defenses that could protect not just Kepler 442b but other worlds as well. Hannah found herself appointed as the first human-alien relations specialist, responsible for maintaining communication between the species and developing joint projects. Her bond with Titan became the foundation for a new kind of diplomacy based on mutual respect and understanding. "I told you the creature was intelligent," she said to Dr. Park during the dedication ceremony for the new research center. "You told me more than that," he replied with a smile. "You showed me that intelligence comes in many forms and that communication is possible even across species barriers." The ceremony took place in the main chamber of the Crystal Caves, now converted into a meeting place where humans and cave dwellers worked side by side. Titan stood beside Hannah as she spoke to representatives from both species. 6 months ago, I was mocked for believing that we could communicate with an alien creature," she said. "Today, that same creature is helping us build a better future for both our peoples." The audience included humans from Earth, cave dwellers from the deep cities, and even some former skeptics who had learned to appreciate the value of keeping an open mind. "We have learned that the universe is full of intelligent life," Hannah continued. "Some of it is hostile, like the invaders we defeated, but some of it is friendly, ready to work with us if we approach with respect and patience." After the ceremony, Hannah and Titan walked together through the rebuilt research station. The facility now included areas designed for cave dwellers as well as humans, with crystal technology integrated into every system. "We have come a long way from that first meeting in the clearing," Hannah said to her friend. Titan responded with the complex series of sounds that now served as its name in the human language. The creature had learned to speak several human words, while Hannah had become fluent in the cave dweller sonic communication system, but more than language had developed between them. They had built something that neither species had achieved. Therefore, a true partnership based on understanding and mutual benefit. As they stood together watching the sunset through the station's main window, Hannah reflected on how much had changed. The humans who had once mocked her bond with Titan now worked alongside cave dwellers every day. The creature that had once been seen as a dangerous predator was now recognized as a diplomat and teacher. "The universe just became a much more interesting place," she said. Titan's response was a sound that roughly translated as agreement, but with an additional meaning that suggested this was only the beginning of their adventures together.